Greetings, family. Peace, love, and black power. This is Guru. Thanks for visiting my channel. Today's vlog is about white people's ancestors, the Neanderthals, and where they actually came from. In my view, there is no missing link. This right here, which is a model of the Neanderthal man on the left and the Neanderthal woman on the right. And I would propose that these are their ancestors once they left Africa and they procreated with this species. And that would explain how they have the Neanderthal DNA. But before we get to that, let's talk about Dr. Francis Cress Welsing's theory from the ISIS papers, The Keys to the Colors. Dr. Francis Cress Welsing says that the white race has structured and manipulated their own thought processes and conceptual patterns as well as those of the entire non-white world majority, so that the real numerical minority, which is white people, illusionally feels and represents itself as the world's majority, while the true numerical majority, who are non-white, illusionally feels and views itself as the minority. An example of that would be if you go to anywhere in the world, if white people go anywhere around the world and talk about their experiences, they usually refer to people of color as the minority. The minority. Well, the word minority is a breakdown of meaning you are less than or minor. Dr. Francis Cress Welsing points out, and I agree, that the world's minority, true minority, are white people, and they have gone around the world postulating and making it seem like they are the world's majority. And that's why I read what I read just a minute ago. So at this point, family, I'm going to go into albinism. White skin is the form of albinism. There is no difference, microscopically speaking, between the white skin of a white person and the skin of a person designated as an albino. White-skinned people came into existence thousands of years ago as the albino mutants, offsprings of black-skinned mothers and fathers in Africa. From the modern science of genetics, we know that it is possible for all pigmented population groups to produce white or albino mutants. We also know that it is impossible for albino mutants, however, to produce black offspring. That is impossible. A sizable number of these black parents have produced and rejected and then cast out of the community their genetic defective albino offsprings to live away from the normal black skin pigmented population with the awareness of their rejection and alienation, as in leper colonies. Family, what I'm trying to say here is that so these black parents basically had their offspring, albino offsprings, just like today in Africa, where we see albino children of black parents having a black mother and black father, but they are viewed as, well, defective. And so these albino children are outcasted, just like they are today. But unfortunately today we see that they are also traumatized by terror and whatnot on their lives. I don't condone that, but I'm saying that that is a fact of nature that is happening. So anyways, continuing is, this happens today where black parents have white children, white albino children who are pink skinned, oftentimes with different colored eyes and platinum blonde hair. Black people can do that. White people cannot. So family, another example of this, what I'm talking about, what I'm referring to, was reported in the National Geographic and Natural History magazines entitled Snowflake, which was the world's first white gorilla. That was published in March of 1967, volume 131, number 3. And also in Natural History, October 1975, the article on albinism was recently found in Africa was the first known albino gorilla infant who was the offspring of its coal-black gorilla mother and father. It reads, "This evidence strongly supports the extrapolation that if a higher primate, in this instance a coal-black gorilla pair, can produce a platinum blonde, blue-eyed, pink-skinned albino, then certainly this could also be the matter by which blonde, blue-eyed, pink-skinned white men and women also were produced as genetic mutants or albino mutants from the black norm. That the norm for the entire human family is to possess melanin pigmented skins supports that extrapolation." So connecting this, the white tribe's eventual migration out of Africa northward to escape the intensity of the equatorial sun, the sun at the equator where it's the hottest, of the southern hemisphere, left the albinos eventually situated in the area of the world known as Europe, now recognized as the home of the white tribes. Once isolated, these recessive genetic mutants began to mate with one another and multiply, producing what is now known as the white race, understanding race as an isolated population sharing a significant number of common identifying genes. Now, I just read that from Dr. Frances Cress Welsing from the ISIS papers, The Keys to the Colors. And as she states there, she's saying that these albino offsprings from black African parents could not stand the hot sun at the equator in Africa, so they escaped, or they left, and they went north from there. And if you look at a map, a world map, you'll see if you go north out of Africa, you will go straight up into Europe. What's interesting is that she says that they, this early offspring, these recessive genetic mutants, they began to mate with one another, and multiply, producing what is now known as the white race. And I say that maybe Dr. Frances Cress Welsing did not counter in the factor that white people have Neanderthal DNA, and perhaps that is the missing factor in this whole equation, if you connect all the dots, that these albino offsprings left out of Africa and they went north into Europe, and they procreated and mated with not only one another but also with Neanderthals in the caves, in the Caucasus caves of Europe. And so maybe that is how, not maybe, but that is how the white race has ended up with the Neanderthal DNA. Because as we find out, they're the only race, they're the only species, because now we have to refer to them as a subspecies. The white race is a subspecies of the human race. They are not fully 100% human. If you break down the word human, you get the word hue, H-U-E, which means a person of color. And then you put that together with man, or you drop the E and you put that together with man, you get the word human. A man of color, a person of color. These Neanderthals and these albino mutants who have turned into white people are not people of color. Therefore, when the founding fathers wrote the Constitution and they tried to refer to black people as 3/5 of a man, I stated this before in one of my comments, and I'm going to state in this video. is that you were deflecting. You were deflecting, that's what you were doing, because it is the white race, or the white man, if you really want to get down to it, that is the 3/5 of a man. I'll repeat. You were deflecting. It is the white man who is 3/5 of a man. Major evidence for this theory of albinism or whiteness is found in the symbolism of the Adam and Eve biblical mythology. Western civilization looks to this mythology in the book of Genesis as the account of the beginning. The essential elements of the Adam and Eve story are that Adam and Eve were in the Garden of Eden, ate the forbidden fruit, the apple, had sexual intercourse, became ashamed of their nakedness, and were chased from the Garden of Eden. Decoding, and listen, this is from Dr. Frances Cress Welsing, may she rest in peace. Decoding of that fundamental mythology and symbolism for Western civilization is as follows. Adam and Eve are the symbolic figures of the early albino mutants produced by black parents. The Garden of Eden is Africa, the place where all knowledgeable anthropologists and paleontologists are informing us that human life began, and that the first human beings were black-skinned. The apple eaten by Adam and Eve is the presumed orally ingested poison looked upon as the cause of the mutation to albinism. This ingestion was followed by the act of sexual intercourse, which is also viewed as being responsible for the mutation to albinism and therefore the original sin. Adam and Eve's shame for their nakedness indicates their rejection and shame of the pale white bodies, colorless and naked, when compared to the black and brown-skinned normals. Their use of fig leaves to cover their genitals, as they are depicted, implies the shame and rejection of their genital apparatus, including their genes. Their expulsion from the Garden of Eden represents the isolation of the albino mutants away from the skin-pigmented normals and their voluntary or involuntary migration out of Africa northward into Europe. It must be noted here that, quote, being born again is a major concept of the most important religion in the white supremacy system culture, Christianity. An extension of the concept of being born again without genetic defect is to be born without sin and to rid one's self of the original sin. The original sin in white supremacist Christianity, on close examination, is the act of sex that produced the appearance of nakedness or the genetic mutation of albinism or white skin. So family, Western culture goes further in the symbolism of its religious philosophy to pinpoint the eating of the apple by Adam and Eve, followed by their act of sexual intercourse as, quote, the act of the original sin. Because of this act, Western culture conceives of all its people as being born in sin and in need of being, quote, born again, unquote. There are several other biblical references to skin color change through God's punishment and leprosy. And listen to this, family. Leprosy is wherein the skin is described as becoming, quote, white as snow. I'll repeat that. God's punishment and leprosy is described as the skin becoming, quote, white as snow. See 2 Kings 5:27 and Numbers 12:10. Both biblical references refer to God's punishment where the skin is turned white as snow. So, I propose here, and I'm going to end this vlog here, family, because I don't want to have this vlog too long, that the white population are the procreation of the albinos together with Neanderthals, and that's how they have the Neanderthal DNA. They also have the R.H. Reese's monkey DNA as well. That's really odd. Maybe they got that through the DNA of the Neanderthal. That's the only way I can picture that other than them having sex with animals or monkeys. It wouldn't be far-fetched, but I'm not going to go in that direction. I would propose that they probably get the RH monkey, rhesus monkey DNA through the DNA of the Neanderthal. So, family, again, I propose this is their ancestors, the Neanderthals. They became white through procreating with these people, and that's how they became more pure, i.e., the Hitler form, or what he feels is pure, out of that. And this is just savagery. I don't know how any other way to put it, but they are definitely not fully human based on the information that we're provided. They are a subspecies, and before I end this vlog, let me just point this out. Well, family, at the moment, I can't find the article I was going to try to show you where it clearly states that they are a subspecies, but nonetheless, it did state that they're not fully 100% human if they have Neanderthal DNA and monkey's rhesus DNA. There's no way that they can be 100% human. So yes, they are a subspecies of the human race. The humans, the most human, 100% human form of man is and always will be the original black man and black woman of the earth. This is Guru. I hope you like, share, and if you haven't already, subscribe. Until next time, peace, love, and black power. Thank you for watching.